All right. All right. Good afternoon again, and welcome to our Faith Conversations podcast here at East Stroudsburg United Methodist Church. And we're thrilled to have Bob and Sue sharing with us on the show today. So, Bob and Sue, thank you for joining us on the Faith Conversations podcast.
Thanks for having us, Pastor.
Very good. So, it's my understanding you've done different things, including serving at the staff on Family Life Retreat and things like that.
Yeah, we were part of Family Life Ministries. Sue and I were full-time staff for 5 years. And then the ministry moved to Florida, and they wanted everybody to move to Florida. And we had a lot of ties here that we stayed here, and we kind of retired from the ministry, but we didn't retire from the ministry. We're out doing art of marriages and various ministries to families and marriages throughout Poconos, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and we're up and down the eastern seaboard.
Interesting. So, have you lived here in the Poconos for a long time? Tell us how you got here.
We're locals, we'll call it that. We've been here all our lives. And we grew up here. Stroudsburg High School is where we went to school. And we raised our family here, then over in East Stroudsburg. And then I taught at the East Stroudsburg School District and retired from that district. So that's my side of it. And
You're sticking to it,
I'm
right?
sticking to it, and we're still here.
Yes, I grew up here in the Stroudsburg area. Moved from Bangor, which is just over the mountain, when I was in second grade. Went all through grade school, high school here. Played on the championship football team for Stroudsburg High School. Very proud about that. And I was inducted a few years ago into the Football Hall of Fame at the high school. And that was quite memorable for me and the things we did. But yeah, we grew up here, played Little League, and then coached Little League and midget football, and very involved in the community, and also involved in our kids' lives as they progress through the school system.
Thank you very much for sharing. As I heard Sue say she was a school teacher, any work experiences from your end?
Yeah, I would like to say I was in prison for 25 years, but I worked at the county correctional facility. I started when it was the old 101-year-old Civil War prison in the courthouse square. And then I was part of the team that helped move us out to Snydersville to the new prison. So I spent a lot of time there, started as an officer and worked up through the ranks, and then retired from administration back in 1980.
I don't remember.
It was a while ago.
I hear you. That's interesting. You have facilitated marriage retreats, weekend to remember. Is that different from other marriage retreats?
There's a lot of marriage retreats out there. We went to a couple marriage retreats when we were first married that were, can't remember, they were run by the Catholic Church way back, I think, is how we got kind of introduced to that. There are a lot of good ones out there, and we came to ministry with Family Life through some life-saving surgery that I had, and then God opened up the ministry to us after that. So there are a lot of good family ministries out there. Just got to know which one to look at and go to and get involved in. Yeah.
Family Life has a lot of resources. So not only that weekend to remember where you can get away, like a destination and go, that's great. And they also have material resources that can be used for Bible study for couple, but also in church programming as well. So if you want to do it at your church, there's just a lot of opportunities and resources that can be used in different ways to fit different situations.
And that's the reason why we have you on this podcast, because we here at East Stroudsburg United Methodist Church, we're planning a marriage retreat at June 6th, and you are going to be leading it. So we're very excited about that. So what can couples expect, at this retreat?
You want to start off with it. But I might
Well,
reveal some fun things that then you don't want
well,
me
sure. They're going to expect honesty, some laughing, some fun, candor, introspection, some tears, probably, communication, ideas to reconnect and refresh. That is your theme, and we're sticking with that.
Mm.
So a lot of times, we just get busy in life, and couples need to spend time with each other. So we don't want the day or the retreat to be like a fire hose going at you all day and you're sitting there writing notes. It's not planned to be like that at all.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun. Sue and I are very open, honest, and raw. We use a lot of our life experience as we teach the material that we had to share at the retreat. And you will find us very honest and will be very funny, but yet very biblically based.
I see. So, how beneficial have you found these married retreats to couples? Because some people feel they don't need this kinds of retreats, and what's the benefit? They know they've been together for a long time, so what's the point?
Ooh.
Are you going first? Are you?
She saved me. No, actually, marriage is something that takes work every day. You'll never arrive at a point where you say that you've achieved the ultimate marriage experience. It takes work. There's a lot of tears. There's a lot of joy. There's a lot of ups. There's a lot of downs. But we really find marriage to be very rewarding as you look at marriage on a vertical plane. A lot of times when you get married, you think it's just this horizontal, her and I, and everything will be fine as long as we like each other. But we have found over the years, and a lot of the teaching that we do is if your vertical relationship with Jesus Christ isn't right, this relationship can't possibly be right, or it will struggle. And God has in his blueprint for marriage all the ingredients that you need to make a very fulfilling and satisfying marriage. Sue is not designed to be my fulfillment. She was designed to be my helpmate and come alongside of me and I with her. But only God can fulfill my needs.
I sometimes look at it like a car. Let's say you buy a brand new car. Let's say it's a fancy car. What do you do? Like, do you just let it sit in the garage? You take care of it. You may wash the wheels. You put that shiny stuff on it. You get it inspected. You're always making sure it's working well. And that may mean going to the garage, get a tune up, new spark plugs. It's like something you cherish, let's say. So, is marriage any different? So many times we think, especially if we're church family, we're protected. Like it'll go smooth. Everything's fine. We go to church, we're fine. And what we're finding is, and statistically proven out, especially with social media and spiritual battles, what they are. It's just not that way at all.
Wow.
So, regular checkups in a sense. Why do we go to church every week? We go to learn, and we learn what the Bible says about different things. And oftentimes that area of marriage isn't hit on as much as maybe just daily living and, personal daily living. Whereas it's a truth from the Bible. So it's an area that needs attention and we often just ignore it.
So, refresh and reconnect. Why is this topic important to you guys, and why do you want to address that?
Well, I would say this June we'll be married 45 years. We've been together just short of 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we still celebrate our first date. Every year in October, we go back to the same place that we had our first date, and we celebrate it. We bring Sue brings a tablecloth and candles and some pictures, and we go back to where we had our first date. You have to constantly refresh. Marriage is only as fresh as you water it, and we really enjoy Sue and I we have a thing that's called date night, and we started it back right after we first got married. And every Friday night is our date night. Nothing, even children when they were little, did not come in the way. I would go out, I'd get a babysitter, and make sure that that Friday night was a time for us to reconnect from the week because she worked, I worked, and then putting kids to bed and all those things. There was a disconnect during the week. So anytime that we could find a spot that we could stop and say, "How are you?" And
Isn't that like
listen.
going on a vacation though too? Why do you go on vacation? Is it to relax? Is it to refresh? Is it to reconnect? Uh, Same way with, let's say, a garden. If you don't water it, it's not going to grow. So with a marriage, you're not going to water it, it's not going to grow.
Mm. The marriage has a lot of ups and downs to it.
Seasons.
Yep, this particular past 18 months was a very difficult time for us. Sue was diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer. So we went through that, but at the same time, her mother was struggling with her third bout of cancer, and she now had bladder cancer, and she was
92.
92. So Sue was the sole caregiver at that time. So then when Sue became sick, her brother had to come up from South Carolina and take care of her mom. So we went through that whole diagnosis and treatment, and all that happens through that time as well. And then I was in the hospital for 4 days, and then working through all that. And we just, Sue rang the bell in January.
Mhm.
And then we thought maybe that was it. You know, when you ring the bell, it's over. But we find out that there was more lingering effects from the cancer treatments and things like that that still need recovery and timing. And at that point, we were saying we're just going to kick back and relax, and we're not doing anything. But then the phone call came from East Stroudsburg United Methodist Church and asked if we would be interested in doing a marriage retreat. And I said, God's not done with us yet, honey. So we accepted, and I'm looking forward to meeting with the people on June 7th.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I can sense and hear that you have also gone through some challenging times and difficult times. So how has your faith, encouraged you through these challenging times? And did you feel distant from God when you were going through these these periods?
Isolation is real.
Yeah, isolation is real.
You have to rely on those truths. I don't know how people do it if they don't have those truths from the Bible. Um, Fellow supporters, Christian believers, friends, encouraging along the way is a big help. Those Bible verses. I have Bible verses that I unhinged from my paper chain every day that had been given to me by friends of reminders of what God said and the truth as you're going through that. Someone else sent me a card every day for over a year of something. Every day I got a card reminding me of God's truth. So it wasn't easy, but I'm here.
Yeah, we like I said earlier, that vertical relationship is critical because if I'm not right with the Lord, I can't possibly be right with her. And the Scripture has me as a leader of my home. My whole philosophy, if you will, when we got married, was that my job is to present her back to the Lord without spot and wrinkle, and to constantly breathe air into her sails, to make her prosper and to flow in her life. And I learned that early as I came to Christ. I had a mentor. I really believe that mentoring and having someone holding you accountable is very, very important in your walk. And it was a married couple, and they took us on and mentored us when we were younger and in the Lord, and as we got married, mentored us. And I found that there was times we all have webs, flows in our lives that you wonder if God's real. You wonder if He hears you. You wonder if He's understanding. There was a particular time where I was just a few months from reaching retirement at the job that I was in, and I lost my job. And I came home, and for 2 years, I was wondering where God was. I was, I was angry at God. Very honestly, I was angry because it's like, how can you do that? We just bought this brand new house, and children are now getting to a point where they're ready to fly the nest. And God, how can you do that to me? And he took me through a couple of years. The long story short is found out that I needed life-saving surgery. Um, and if I had continued to work through that, as I look back retrospect, I probably wouldn't be sitting here in this interview with you or with my wife because of what had to be done to me. And through that, I learned that God is sovereign, and you have to believe that He is sovereign and that He knows everything that happens when it happens because He's the author and finisher of my life. And when you have that perspective, it helps go through those peaks and valleys and strengthens your faith, challenges your faith. I don't believe you ever reach to a point where you obtain faith or steadiness because faith is always growing. There's always something around the next corner or over the next hilltop that God would have you go through because He knows how He's designed you and what He wants for you. So the things that happen in your life, we sometimes look at them as hindrances or why did this happen? But when you work through them and go through them, you come back to the realization that, wow, that has made me stronger and it's strengthened my faith for the next challenge that comes.
And then through all that and cancer treatment, so many times people think, the marriage, 50% yours, 50% mine, and we make 100%. But no, I couldn't even be 50% at that point. It's 100%, 100%. Both are giving that much. I mean, through all that, Bob was a real rock star taking care of me. He was 100%. I wasn't. But that's how it works. It's not 50-50. It's both all in.
All in. Now we distribute our uh, episodes of the podcast on our website, on YouTube, and now we have other platforms that are shared. So every time people are going to be, watching or listening to this podcast, and as you've shared, is there any, if somebody is listening or watching, what words of encouragement, if they're hearing your story, would you like to give to them while they're, to strengthen their faith if they're in a difficult situation?
There's a way that we like to look at it in marriage and in our lives. When you say I do, you do, and it goes forward from there. It's like a car. A marriage has no reverse. You're always going forward. A lot of times people think that I'll find the right one. And then when things don't work out, I must not have married the right one. And when you marry, it's in footstep, one on, one together. There's always an outcome. You're either going into a season, in a season, or you're coming out of a season. And as long as you embrace the season and not fight it so much, and it's easy to sit and talk those type of things, but if you haven't experienced it or in somebody else's shoes in their own experience, because everybody's experience is different, your makeup is different, how God has designed you, but the constant source is that you need to go vertical. You need to go to our Creator. And God is honest. He's honest with you. You can tell him that, Lord, this really stinks. I don't like it. And He's not going to chastise you or be angry with you. He's going to love you through it and provide a way out.
Some of the videos and testimonies that we'll share at the retreat talk about that very thing in the lives of other couples as well. It's not always peachy keen, and it's not that because you're in the church, you're protected from the things that the world throws at you. Social media, all those things want to change the truth of what is really true. And that's as Bob's talking about going vertical. And what does God say about that design and how it's going to work?
And I think with faith also is don't go it alone. You can't go it alone. That's why God created community. He created the church
body.
and the church and bodies to come alongside of each other. When one hurts, we all hurt. When one's laughing, we all laugh. And there's truth into that. And to go into seclusion when you're facing and isolate, now that's exactly what the devil wants you to do, is to isolate and be away instead of going to the strength, which is the church body and friends to help you through a situation.
Very good. Thank you, Bob and Sue. And before we wrap up, do you have any one marriage advice you want to give to the audience? And it doesn't have to, because sometimes our podcast is listened to not only church people but people online as well, and they get attracted. Some people check things out on our website and on our YouTube page and Facebook, and so we want to be helpful to them as well. So if somebody is they're married and it's like, hey, how come you guys married for 50 years? What's the one advice? We'll start with Sue first and then you go.
I think one of the phrases that come out often is, my spouse is not my enemy. There is an enemy out there, and that enemy is trying to do everything they can to split us up, separate us spiritually. But it's not my spouse. He was given as a gift. So I need to treasure the gift. My spouse is not my enemy.
Yeah, and I believe that I like to say, and Sue will agree with you, I study Sue. I know her thoughts, her likes, her ideas, her dislikes, and I'm very keen in on wanting to serve her. Marriage is not a for me situation. I've always looked at marriage as, how can I make Sue better? And how can I make our relationship stronger? And I believe that there's no reverse, as I said. You keep one foot in front of the other, it will get better before it gets much worse.
Well, and so thank you again, Sue and Bob Eden, for coming on our ESUMC Faith Conversations podcast. And this will be the wrap. If you are listening or you are watching this episode and something has touched you or resonated with you, we want you to subscribe. We want you to like the page, and we want to invite you to come to East Stroudsburg United Methodist Church June 6th. You can check our website out for the registration for this retreat. I can guarantee that you're going to have a good time. Your marriage will be strengthened and your life will be strengthened. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having us,
Welcome,
Pastor.
refresh.
Very good. Thank you.
Sure.